I know that the left, political left, are putting a new boogeyman out on this thing called Project 2025 and saying that it's Trump's deal. Not the case. His agenda for when he gets back in is getting is Project 47, Agenda 47. Now, what does this agenda entail? Well, as I'm looking at the website, Trump's campaign website, here's what it says. Day one, executive order ending citizenship for children of illegals and outlawing birth tourism, i.e., if an illegal gives birth to a kid in the U.S., if someone who crossed the border illegally gives birth to a kid in the U.S., they will no longer be considered when the child has to go back with them over the border to the U.S. In other words, no automatic citizenship for the children of illegal aliens. Number two, ending the scourge of drug addictions. Too often, our public health establishment is too close to big pharma. They make a lot of money. Big corporations and other special center our children's health. In other words, this is to get rid. This is a way to eradicate big pharmaceuticals. You will also do the same, which is also tied into getting rid of chronic childhood illnesses. Using empowerment to cut waste, stop inflation, and crush the deep state. To squeeze the bloated federal bureaucracy for massive savings. This will be in the form of tax reductions for the U.S., and this will quickly stop inflation slash the deficit. For those who don't remember, when Biden came into office, he chose to jack the taxes and go overboard with inflation. Now the people are after 3.5 years, going on 4 years now, the people are realizing the consequences. Under the Reciprocal Trade Act, other countries will have two choices. Get rid of the tariffs on the U.S., or they'll pay us hundreds of billions of dollars. The United States will make an absolute fortune. And I think when Trump does get back in, Putin, Xi, and the rest of the nations that are part of the BRICS alliance, for better or worse, are going to do that. Protecting Americans by taking on big pharmaceutical and ending global freeloading. Under my policy, the United States government will tell Big Pharma that we will only pay the best price they offer to foreign nations who have been taking advantage of us for so long. The United States is tired of getting ripped off. Protecting students from the radical leftists and Marxist maniacs infecting intellectual educational institutions. For many years, tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we'll do that. Rebuilding the military. Rescuing the American audio industry from Joe Biden's disastrous job-killing policies. Joe Biden is waging war on the U.S. auto industry with the crippling mandates designed to force Americans into expensive electric cars, even as thousands of electric cars are piling up on car lots unsold. This ridiculous Green New Deal crusade is causing car prices to skyrocket while setting the stage for the destruction of American auto production. He will also call for the death penalty for human traffickers. And you'd think that many on both sides would agree to this, but no, political leftists want human sex traffickers. The Democrats are, and there are some Republicans that fit this bill too, are a bunch of fucking sick-ass pedophiles who deserve their necks in a noose as far as I'm concerned. Returning production of essential medicines back to America and ending Biden's pharmaceutical shortages. As part of my plan to attain total independence from China, we will phase in tariffs and import restrictions and bring back protections of all essential medicines to the USA, where they belong. I signed executive orders to begin this process in 2020, but Biden has shamefully failed to follow through. Well, of course he's failed. Biden's a fucking puppet. An Obama puppet, I might want to point out. He's been nothing more than the sock, and Obama's his puppet master. And when Obama gets exposed in 25, he's going to have nowhere to run and nowhere to fucking hide. Mark my words when Trump wins. America must have energy, the number one lowest energy and electricity on Earth. In other words, restore the energy production through fossil fuels and electric energy, though not for transportation tools in the latter case. Here are his 10 principles to restoring schools to great jobs. Restoring paternal rights, i.e., allowing the parents to decide what school their kids go to, or allow them to go into the homeschool. Trump will immediately reverse Joe Biden's barbaric gender affirming care policies, instructing every federal agency, including the DOE, to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transitioning age. He will declare any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare. In other words, he'll strip them of that status. 3. He will also inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations, for sex discrimination, and the elimination of federal funding. He will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men, and women different and unique. We'll ask Congress to pass a bill to establish the only genders recognized by the U.S. government are male and female, and they are determined at birth. He will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, something that Biden has chosen to ignore. And again, I want his neck in a noose when this bullshit's his and Obama's necks in a noose when this bullshit's over. Trump will support the direct election of school principals by the parents. If any principal is not performing at a high standard, parents have the right to get rid of them and select someone who will. Trump will implement further preferences and favorable treatment for states and school districts that abolish teacher tenures for kids grade K through 12 to adopt merit pay to reward good teachers and give the parents the right to vote for the principals who direct their kids' education. Knowledge and skills, not CRT and gender indoctrination. Where he will remove CRT, transgender ideology, DEI, and other shit out of the school systems. He will get reading, writing, arithmetic back in so America's young people have the knowledge, skills, and training they need to get a great job and lead to a successful career. Under Biden's school closures, 8th grade mathematics declined, shutdowns were more negatively affected female students underperformed males in both 4th and 8th grades, and only 35% of 4th and 26% of 8th graders are proficient in mathematics. Under Biden, scores in reading have fallen by the largest margin in 3 decades. And in 2021, 1 in 5 high school students considered suicide. Trump will cut federal funding for any school publishing CRT and gender insanity and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on the kids. And he'll pursue civil rights investigations in any school that engages in this discrimination. He will also get the left's equity agenda out of the classrooms. And he'll get excellence back in on his first day back in office. He will immediately revoke Biden's senator's executive order mandating that federal departments establish an equity enforcement squad to implement a Marxist takeover of the government. He will urge Congress to create a restitution fund for Americans who have been unjustly discriminated against by such equity policies. damn right. He'll fight for patriotic education with the reinstatement of the 1776 Commission to ensure America's children learn the truth about their country's history and the timeless principles of liberty and equality. And support Trump's pledge to commemorate the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding, which will occur on July 4th, 2026. He'll veto any effort to weaponize or nationalize civics education. It's going to create credentialing by the certified teachers who embrace patriotic values. He'll once again fiercely protect the First Amendment right to pray in schools, something that's been long since gone since '62. And under Trump's leadership, the White House updated federal guidance regarding protected prayer and religious expression in public schools, which hadn't been used since 2003. He'll also make sure that the schools are drug free. He will overhaul federal standards on schools discipline to get out of control troublemakers out of the classroom and into reform schools and correctional facilities for the good of themselves and their peers alike. Trump will end leftist takeovers of school discipline and juvenile systems. He will order the Departments of Justice and Education to overhaul federal standards for disciplining minors to get violent thugs out of children's classrooms so they can get the professional help they need. When troubled youths are out of control, the consequences must be swift, certain, and strong. Trump will direct the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to convene an independent outside panel to investigate whether transgender hormone treatments and ideology increase the risk of depression, extreme depressions, aggression, and violence. He will also look at whether common psychiatric drugs, as well as genetically engineered cannabis and other narcotics, are causing psychotic breakouts. Furthermore, he will let the adults choose what school parents choose. You allow the parents to choose what schools their children will go to, whether public, private, religious, that best suits their needs, goals, and values. Be more project-based learning, etc. Internships and work experiences, job and career counseling, and so forth. Oop, went too far ahead, went too far back. There will be no welfare for illegal aliens. Ending veteran homelessness in America. And he will go after the drug cartels. Bottom line, and I also do believe he will go after the mainstream media. It's not listed in Agenda 47, but he has stated one of the 10 things he wants to do when he gets back in office, although it's a lot lower on the list, is go after the mainstream media. That said, I do believe Trump will pull it off this time around, especially when he Schedule F's many of those in Washington, and especially in Congress and the various departments, which will make firing their asses, especially the more radical leftist deep state players, a lot more easy, a lot easier. As much as I would want the 2025 project thing to be on his agenda, it's not, because I think the ideals in it are a bit too over the top for Trump, and his is a lot more concise. Let me put it like this, folks. Do you want a guy who's just in 2024? Now, I may be voting for Trump, but I'm not an overkill advocate of his. But answer me this. Do you want someone in power who is proven to have the moral fiber and integrity of a fucking sock puppet and has basically been the front man for a diabolical pseudo predecessor president in the form of with Joe Biden in the form of Barack Obama, who's basically a cognitive dipshit who's being pulled around by his own damn wife in Joe Biden? Or do you want someone who, while he disperses mean tweets or blunt and gruff, cut through the bullshit truths on Truth Social, he'll lead this nation firmly but fairly in Donald John Trump. For me, I can handle a few mean tweets from a guy who suffers from a disorder that constantly makes his face look orange. As far as I'm concerned, 123 to 199, and this nightmare finally ends for this nation. We go after the deep state players, hunt them down, military tribunals. Worst case scenario, some of them get off the hook with community service. Best case scenario, life sentence for some of the moderates, and death penalties for some of the worst. I mean, for many of the worst turncoats. Because the penalty for betraying this nation is fucking death, as far as I'm concerned. And under a military tribunal system, we're going to get those death penalties for some of the lowest of this scum. Comment, like, and subscribe. This is Mets 228 signing out. This is just his 2 cents on Agenda 47. Goodbye. Good fucking night. Bang.